This is the Powered AF Podcast, a show about visionaries, high performers, and entrepreneurs, and their stories on how they push past fear, overcome imposter syndrome, and navigate through the mental roadblocks in order to achieve the highest level of success. And I'm your host, Abu Fofana. Hey, what's going on? Welcome. I wanted to jump on here, record this live, and also go on the podcast at the same time. And let me just get up and settled. And what I want to talk about is, I was having a lot of conversations. First of all, everyone that's been checking on me in the last few weeks, I really do appreciate that. I was in a lot of transitions, moving and just life happened and, kind of just navigating that space. So if you did check on me over the last few weeks, I really do appreciate it. I'm getting settled in and getting back to finding a routine. And so I think that's most important. But what I really want to talk about here is, and I'm going to try to do more lives because I always get, you guys asking me to go live more and stuff like that. But what I want to talk about is what happens when opportunity doesn't knock. and I was thinking about this because a few weeks ago I was out in Austin and I got a chance to meet with a lot of, business owners and entrepreneurs and just people in general. And they were seeing me on stage and they're like, man, like everything, worked out for you. You're getting all the opportunities, the speaking engagements now, and everything's working out for you. And I'm like, there were many years when opportunity didn't knock. There was a lot of years where opportunity didn't knock, and that's what I really want to talk about. I even have some notes over here about the topic. So if you're tuning in, here's what I need you to do before I continue. One, let me know what city you're tuning in from. And the second thing I want you to do is share this with people, 2 or 3 or even 5 or 10 people that you think what I'm about to say could benefit. So let me just put the title in the comments and we could start. Okay, let's get to it. So the topic is what happens when opportunity doesn't knock. And you have to understand that depending on where you are in your life right now and where you are in your journey, you may feel like you are defeated. You may feel like nothing is going your way. You may feel like the things that you want are kind of eluding you and avoiding you. And these are all valid feelings, When I think about my story, I think about, there were many times when opportunity didn't knock. And what do I mean by that? There are many times I didn't get exactly what I wanted, when I wanted it, how I wanted it to be delivered to me. And I had to learn over the years that sometimes when opportunity doesn't knock, are you willing to knock on the door, right? If it doesn't come, are you willing to pivot? Are you willing to knock on a different door? And so for me, my whole life was leading up to one moment. I thought that I was going to be a professional soccer player. That's what I worked everything in my life for as a kid, waking up, doing 2-a-days every day. I thought that the opportunity was going to come and knock on my door because I was doing the work. And many of you, you're doing the work. Some of you not really. Some of you aren't actually doing the work. So let me not lie on all of y'all. Some of y'all are doing the work. But the opportunity hasn't presented itself yet. The opportunity hasn't knocked yet. And so for me, when I thought I wanted to be a soccer player and I was doing everything possible, the opportunity didn't knock for me. I didn't get that opportunity in order to pursue the thing that I actually really wanted the most out of life, right? Which was to be, a professional soccer player. So I learned a valuable lesson during that time. When opportunity doesn't knock, like what do you do after that? What do you do when it doesn't? And I had to figure out, well, how do I knock on other doors? And I think that you may be in a place right now where you have to start thinking about, how do I knock on other doors? How do I take initiative? I know we live in this society where everyone's too cool, too nonchalant, never hurt. And they just sort of go through life not really truly experiencing anything or not really going after the things they want because they think in life, things that they want will just come naturally to them, will just flow to them. And that's not the case. That's not the case. What happens when those things that you actually want, they don't flow to you? Like in life, you have to be the initiator. You can't always be on the receiving end. You actually have to initiate as well. So for me, I had to learn how to pivot. And one of the things I always hear from people when I talk to them, when things aren't going the way they wanted, and let me know if I'm resonating with anyone, give me an amen. Let me know if I'm resonating with anyone. But whenever things aren't going the way, they are only looking for opportunities that are guaranteed, that come with an attachment, that it's going to pan out. And so my favorite things I love hearing people say is, I'll only do this when, or I'm going to do this after, right? I'll only do this when I get the opportunity. I'll only do this after I get the opportunity. And it doesn't work like that. A lot of times you're not going to get the opportunity, but you still have to do the thing, right? Like you still have to do it. It reminds me of this proverb about the two farmers, and they're not getting any rain. And so one is going out there every day, still plowing his land, but the other one is discouraged because there's no rain. He was doing what the other farmer was doing, but eventually he stopped because he said, ain't no rain coming, my crops are dying. Whereas the other farmer, although he was in a very similar situation, his crops were dying every day, he still went out there to go plow his land and to get ready for when it would rain. And so there are people that are getting ready for the opportunity, and there are people that are only going to do things when or after the opportunity. And that's an extremely difficult thing to do, right? Like when opportunity presents itself and you're not ready for it, often you won't get that opportunity again. Let me repeat that. When opportunity presents itself and you haven't already been doing the work, often you're not going to get that opportunity again. And so I really want you all to understand that. Even if you don't get the opportunity, you should still be preparing for the work. You should still be doing the things in order to prepare yourself and put yourself in the best position to receive the opportunity. So I'll only do this when I get something, or I'll only do this after I get something, is a really difficult way to live your life because you're trying to guarantee an outcome. You're trying to guarantee an outcome, right? And you can't guarantee outcomes. If life was an outcome-driven game, a lot of us would lose at it, right? A lot of us would lose at this outcome-driven game because a lot of the things that we have now, we were already in preparation for those things, right? We were already doing the work necessary in order to receive those things. And so what happens when opportunity doesn't knock? What happens when you don't actually get the thing that you wanted most? And that's the hard part, right? That's the challenge for most entrepreneurs. And so are you doing the work? And this is my question for people, is are you doing the work because you love it, or are you doing the work because you're trying to become popular? And I see this happening all the time. People are only doing the work to be noticed versus doing the work to make impact, right? Are you doing the work to get noticed, or are you doing the work to get impact? Yes. I definitely can see how opportunity might come back again and present itself in a different way. I agree with that. I agree with that thought process. It might come back in a different way. There's some opportunities, it may just be for that moment, but then there's other opportunities that will come back in a different way, and then you might actually, hopefully be ready for that opportunity when it comes back. And what I was getting at is that there's some people that get discouraged when they don't get an opportunity and they never can see another opportunity again, right? And what I mean by that is they missed the first opportunity, they missed the first bus, but they don't understand that, well, you could get on a bike and still get to that destination. You could get on the next bus and still get to that destination. Because it wasn't the thing that they exactly wanted, then they defer everything else. Everything else that comes, they always defer it because they're still waiting for that very specific thing, although they missed out on that opportunity. It comes in different shapes and sizes, right? It comes in different visions, right? It comes in different, cloaks. So you have to pay attention to when opportunity is actually in front of you. Even if it's not the opportunity that you want, it may lead you to that next opportunity that you actually do want. And this leads me to this idea of big opportunity versus little opportunity, right? Because there's levels to opportunity. Some people only pursue things that there's a guarantee, right? They only do things where there's a guarantee. And so when you only do things, there's a guarantee. Oftentimes, that opportunity isn't as big as doing the work, even though there may not be a guarantee, right? Even though I knew there was a possibility I wouldn't become a professional soccer player, I also knew that the opportunity to become a professional soccer player was big, right? This was a big opportunity, right? This is a big opportunity versus a smaller opportunity was, to pursue something that I really didn't want to, but I knew I was really good at. I knew I was really good at immediately. But a lot of times when you're stretching yourself for opportunity, you learn new skills, you learn new things in order to actually, get to where you're trying to get to. And so what are the opportunities that are currently present in your life? What are the things that you're actually chasing? What are the current opportunities you're taking advantage of? What are the ones that you're learning from? And how is it helping you position yourself for the next thing? And so what I want you to realize and understand is that learn how to knock on doors if the exact opportunity you're looking for doesn't automatically present itself right away. It's okay to take initiative. It's okay to roll up your sleeves, right? Like, stop being so nonchalant about life. If you don't get the opportunity that you want, go out there and knock on doors yourself, right? Find the opportunities that you want that's going to lead you closer to where you're trying to get to. One of the questions someone, asks is, how do we know when we are putting in too much for an opportunity versus when to pivot? So there's a few answers to that. The one thing is in your spirit. One thing is in your spirit. Oftentimes you feel it in your spirit first, and you're like, you know what? Maybe this is a chapter I need to close. Oftentimes you feel it in your spirit first, right? You feel it in your spirit. The other time is maybe time. Maybe you're giving yourself a time and say, you know what? My goal is to do this over the next 10 years. And if it doesn't happen in 10 years, then maybe I should come back to the table. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough for the opportunity, right? It just may mean that maybe there's something better out there that I'm actually not considering. Maybe the thing that I thought I wanted isn't what I actually need to get to the things that I'm actually saying that I want to be, or the things that I actually want to live my life as, right? So I think that it's okay to come back to the whiteboard and reassess the opportunity and look across and see, okay, is there something better for me based on where I am right now? And so these are the things, but oftentimes it's spirit, oftentimes it's people give themselves time. Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Listen, because look, unanswered prayers, they just set you up for something completely different. Things that you thought you never wanted, you then start going down the track of when your prayers are unanswered. You're like, wait a second, I actually didn't even want that thing that I was praying so hard for. Like, why did I want that thing? Like, now the thing that I am doing is exactly where I wanted to be, exactly where I need to be. And so that's a really good point as well. So appreciate you for sharing that. But that's just what I wanted to talk about, because I always see entrepreneurs telling me, and business owners, and just people in general, the things that they missed, the opportunities that they're waiting to knock on their door. And I'm like, why are you waiting for something to knock on your door? Like, I'm confused. Like, that's not how it works. Right? You have to be also doing the work. You have to be preparing for the opportunity. And if it doesn't present itself in a way that you want immediately, then you have to be willing to go knock on some doors as well. And so that's all I got for y'all. I hope you enjoyed this rant or / session. And I'll see you all during the next show.
Thank you for joining us at the Powered AF podcast. Make sure to visit our website and make sure to follow our podcast anywhere you listen to the podcast to make sure you never miss a show. And please, 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 if you enjoyed this episode and this show, please make sure to leave us a review. It really, really does help. And last thing, if you're interested in this freebie that I just released, I want you to check this out. Recently, I put together a free online training on how to 10x your sales online. This is for business owners who are struggling with making consistent sales online. Whether you run a product or service-based business, this is the perfect training for you. The free training is still up, and you can access it by going to poweryourlaunch.com/pod. Again, poweryourlaunch.com/pod. That's POD. All right. Thanks again for listening in. I'll see you during our next show.